Welcome to Luke James Chats with myself, Luke James, and guests don't get much bigger than this. We have, I would say, arguably the biggest name in wrestling across the last decade specifically. Mr. Bryan Danielson, how are you? Almost called you the old name there.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
How are you enjoying the UK so far?
I love it. I've always loved the UK.
What about it?
I don't know. I think it's just the personality, like the character of all the people and all that kind of stuff. And so for example, I spend a lot of time here. Like I would do all the Butlins tours and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, I just associate it with fun.
Yeah.
So.
Mate, I like that. I'm going to go back to the last Dynamite, where your promo there, the swearing involved, just the passion that came out.
Are you allowed to swear on this?
Mate, as much as you want. This is for social media.
So good.
So yeah, you were effing and blinding, as we say over here, to put it politely. And for me, felt like some of the realest promo material I've seen come out of you in a long time. It really felt real, even though we all know there's mystique behind it, but just. How do you go through that conversation with Tony? Like, we're going to break that barrier in terms of the swearing barrier here, and how do you go about planning a promo like that where you know it's going to be so emotional?
So I don't plan a lot.
Okay.
So it's, I actually wasn't planning on part of that, but I did ask Tony if I could swear.
Yeah.
And and he said, yeah, because it aired on tape delay in the United States. Yeah. So I think that's why I was able to.
The leeway of
it. Yeah. So some of the, mostly what I go for in promos and stuff like that is some sort of what's emotionally resonant for me for kind of what we're doing. Yeah. And so, that was... So I don't necessarily try to come up with a lot of words before I go out there. It's just like, okay,
in the moment,
what am I feeling? Yeah. And what needs to be said?
Yeah. Just at the end of it as well, the moment, the first time I've seen you put the hands up like that in a long while as well. We all know, I think you spoke about in another interview the other day, that the trademark is now, I think, officially with you for...
Well, so it's weird. I applied for it, but then it wasn't necessarily a cease and desist. They got some sort of legal letter from WWE. So listen. It's really weird because my manager just texted me and said, like, hey, this thing is available. Do you want to get it? And I was like, how much does it cost? And it wasn't that much. And I was like, okay, sure. And then shortly after that, I got an email from WWE saying, like, oh, this is infringing on this or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I just do my thing. So
did it feel good to see the crowd, the Cardiff crowd, just raising their hands like that after such a long time?
Yeah, and so they it's just such a cool. It's cool to be in the center of the activity when everybody's doing that. Yeah. It's just cool, like the energy about it. There's just an energy about it that's unbelievable.
It's like when we think of Daniel Bryan, we think of you at the center of the ring or on the turnbuckle. With those images there, I think are going to carry with you for however long you're involved with wrestling, however long it may, and that goes on to Sunday's potential retirement match against Swerve Strickland. Just touch on Swerve quickly. You're a wrestling fan, I believe, like all of us. It's why we do this. But watching Swerve's ascent must have been. Is it cool to see someone have such a sharp rise in AEW in the company that you believe in like this?
Yes, and I think seeing his rise is one of the things that I love about AEW. Right? It's one of the reasons why it's good for all wrestlers that AEW exists. Right? Because he was somebody who was fired from WWE, and he came in, and in his first interview in AEW, he said, I'm going to win the AEW World Championship.
I remember
and it was a little bit over a year later, and he did it.
Yeah.
And in the span, or maybe it was 2 years later. I think it was, it's probably like 2 years later. A little over 2 years later, he did it. And it just goes to show that sometimes people don't recognize somebody's talent. And so you need you need multiple places so that people can show, and it happens here too, right? I'm sure there's people that we've undervalued that can go and they can do things and become stars somewhere else, right? And so it's, but that's one of the great things about having multiple successful companies in the wrestling industry is that you can, then I think the cream is truly allowed to rise to the top. and that's how I see Swerve. I see Swerve as somebody, and even when we signed him, when AEW signed him, it wasn't like Tony earmarked him and said, "Hey, this guy's going to be the future world champion or whatever it is." He's just done such an incredible job.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And from the storytelling side of it as well, must be cool to be involved in what I look at as a bit of a different promo battle. It's intense. It's not completely relying off who's got the kind of biggest character in the ring.
Right.
It's who can deliver at that moment in those promos. And like you said, if you're not planning it, that really must be just feeling each other out and having that trust with Swerve to not cross those lines. Because again, you have certain limits in terms of don't talk about the family, and to have that line with Swerve, it seems like you've got a really good kind of working relationship with him.
And I think the idea is that when you're working with somebody that you respect and who respects you, and you both want to, wrestling is competition, regardless of what it is. People are competing for top spots,
of course,
right? You know what I mean? So there is things happen where people like say things, but you don't want to cross a boundary where it's like, okay, dude, I'm not going to work with you because that sort of thing. So it's like, so it's right on that fine line. for me and Swerve, it's right on that fine line.
It's been very fun to watch. It's been really,
it's right
really
on that fine line.
Just again, talking about Sunday, potential retirement, you've probably been asked a million questions about retirement, but I just want to know if this is your kind of final run, 6 months, whatever it may be, 12 months, what are the goals for you? And not who do you want to face, are there like 2 or 3 things you want to make sure you tick off in that final run of such a glorious career?
So, I mean, the idea is that, it could end on Sunday, right? And so I'm not focusing on anything past Sunday. And what I really want out of Sunday is to leave everything I have in there. Every part of me. This is wrestling in general has just been such a blessing for my life, right? And if you would have met Bryan Danielson at 18 years old when he first started wrestling, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't talk. I couldn't. When I had classes in high school, I couldn't go up there and like read my reports in front of a class, right? Now I can go out there and without having like a script, go out there and just say stuff like I did Wednesday.
In spandex.
In spandex, right? And so it's essentially putting everything that I have, all the love, all the gratitude, all of that into this match on Sunday and leaving everything that I have in there. And so that's what I'm going for. And then I'm very grateful because my wife and my kids are coming. And so this will be the first time my son has ever seen me live. My daughter's seen me live, but she doesn't remember.
Yeah, I can imagine that age.
Yeah. And so it's like, but if this is the only time that they ever see me wrestle, I want them to see their dad doing it with everything.
That's awesome.
Has. Yeah, and so it's like, so that's my goal for Sunday. Anything after that, I'm gonna have to figure it out. But I'm cool with rolling like that,
Mate, I think I speak for a lot of people. We don't want it to be your last match, but we don't know what will happen on Sunday. So very quickly, I was on the media call with Tony Khan last night, your boss, who he believes he's very happy that he's got a best version of Bryan Danielson, and he thinks over the years there's been the patches where you've had the Ring of Honor absolute kind of run, you've had the WWE Yes Movement mega run, and he feels like this is when you're actually elevated to those levels again. Do you feel like that as well?
Yeah, well, it's weird because I don't know. All of that is about perception for other people. Rather than perception about yourself, right? And so it's interesting because in AEW, I felt like this is the best version of myself. This whole 3-year run, and even though like my neck is trash and all that kind of stuff, I feel like right now in this moment, I'm the best wrestler that I've ever been because it's a culmination of all the things.
Yeah,
it's a culmination of everything that I did and learned in Ring of Honor. It's a culmination of everything I did and learned in WWE, and it's a culmination of everything I've done and learned in AEW so far. And then, it feels like mentally, I'm just like at the peak of how I see wrestling. You know what I mean?
It's almost like the Matrix. You're
Yeah,
looking at You're like
yeah.
that one guy who can see the green numbers.
Yeah.
I like that. And look, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah.
Good luck for Sunday. And yeah, thank you again.
Yep, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it.